You have got that mysterious baddie thing going for you like crazy. I would be so fucking nervous in your energy. I feel like most people probably are. The Emperor and the High Priestess, like, we don't know what you're thinking, but we know you're thinking a lot. I think you probably get or hear a lot that people think you're judging them. You kind of have this vibe where it's like you're just kind of sitting back and observing and just watching, and you might not even realize your face is making the face that it's making. But we know you're thinking something and we're really worried about your opinion. You have a very strong presence. I mean, you cannot ignore it. The Emperor and the High Priestess, we cannot ignore your energy. And it's funny because I feel like you're someone who is a very, very old soul. I think a lot of the sort of like current trends and things sort of going on in the world that people gravitate towards too, you're just not interested. Like you're not interested. It's difficult to impress you. You have a very oddball sort of sense of humor. You're just not into a lot of the things that people tend to be into. You have very niche interests. You have very niche humor. I feel like the thing about you is you're just super smart. You have very smart humor. You don't really enjoy, surface level conversations. There's just this feeling like I have to impress you because I know you're judging me and I know you're thinking things about me. And you're probably not, honestly, like you are someone who's observing and kind of like dissecting things and just, you think deeply about a lot and probably a lot about other people, but you're not as intimidating as you actually may seem here. You actually are very well balanced. Temperance coming through. I feel like you don't lean too far in one direction. You are actually very peaceful. You don't like conflict, you don't like drama, you don't like pettiness, you don't get wrapped up in any sort of you know, games. Like you're very no nonsense, which I sort of feel like again gives this very strong, wise presence around you. There's just this feeling that you're above all of that. You're just above all of it. You're too smart for that. And yeah, it's funny because you're like the humble one. You're the humble baddie, but you have just this very big, big, big energy that again makes people sweat. It's like, whoa, I just feel like you're judging me and I am worried about what you think about me. And it's like I know you're thinking something, especially because you are very intuitive. You do sort of read a lot of the energy in the space, and you're very tapped into what's going on beneath the surface with people, even if you barely know them. You're very, very tapped in. You can understand people's motives, you can understand who they are at their core without even having so much as a full conversation with them, because that's just who you are. I feel like that's also a developed trait that you have, sort of grown into over time, probably because you've dealt with a lot of, sketchy energy. You've had to develop your intuition. You've had to learn who to trust, who not to trust. And so you come off a little bit cold and a little bit unemotional upon first impression. And I feel like that also creates that energy of intimidation because people don't know how to act around you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know how you feel about them. And you're not very expressive about it until you feel safe enough, until you feel like this is a safe space. I can trust you. I do want to be your friend. And then that's when you really start to open up. But for the most part, you're kind of like lock and key. We don't know what you're thinking, but we're really worried about what you're thinking. And we're just scared that you're judging us. I just tapped into this and I'm like, I can immediately feel how nervous people get in your energy because you're just smart and cool and mysterious and hot and just wise. And there's this energy about you that's just like, I just want them to like me. I just want them to like me.